Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Today I want to talk about an undervalued ingredient that we all have in our kitchens and 10 ways to use it. That ingredient, baking soda. There are probably 100 different uses for baking soda, but today I'm just talking about the top 10. The things that I use it for in my house, the reason I buy it in such large quantities, it's because I use it for a lot of different things. Now, these are in no particular order. Number one is using it for toothpaste. Now, I don't always use it for toothpaste. It's not something I do every day. But if we run out of toothpaste or I just want a little extra whitening power, I might use it for a couple days. I take a little bit of baking soda, put it in my hand, wet my toothbrush, tap the toothbrush into the powder, and then use that to brush my teeth. If you want to get fancy, you could take a little container, put your baking soda in it, add a drop of peppermint oil or cinnamon oil to flavor it up a little bit. I don't usually bother with that, but you do you. Number two is to use it almost as a soft scrub. Now it has a little bit of like abrasive texture to it, but it's still very mild and gentle. So I often use this to clean maybe my sink or a tub that's got a little bit of grime on it, but I don't want to damage the surface. I want it to be gentle. I get the surface wet, sprinkle over some baking soda, and then scrub away. It rinses off beautifully, and you have a nice, clean, shiny surface. Number three is to use it for a laundry freshener. I don't use fabric softeners, and I don't use like really heavy scented laundry soap. So when I'm washing something that's sort of dirty and stinky, like really dirty and stinky, I want to add something just to help get that smell out. First thing I tend to do is use vinegar as my fabric softener. So that often helps. But the other thing I do is add baking soda to the wash. A quick and easy way to do that is just take a quarter cup of baking soda and put it in your washing machine along with your soap. But a fancier way to do it is to make what I call laundry freshener, and I keep a jar of this down in my basement next to my washer and dryer. It's half baking soda, half Epsom salt, and then I add in some essential oil, usually something citrusy and fresh, so something that's not going to smell perfumey, and really the scent doesn't really stick to the clothes. But if I use lemon or even grapefruit or lime, it helps to just pull that scent out a little bit. I can't explain it, but it works. Number four is drain cleaner. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you where your kitchen drain just gets kind of smelly, or especially if you have a garbage disposal, that can get kind of smelly. Taking a bunch of whatever it is, baking soda. So take like maybe a quarter cup, half a cup baking soda, put it down the drain, and then another quarter cup, half a cup of vinegar, usually just cheap white vinegar, and pour that down. And it bubbles and it sort of scrubs it clean a little bit. The combination of the baking soda and the vinegar get rid of all the nasty smells. And if your drain is starting to slow down a little bit, it can often remove some of the gunk that's like getting in the way and let your drains move faster and smoother. The fifth way I like to use baking soda is as a treatment for a sore throat. So if your throat is bothering you, take half a teaspoon of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of salt, put it in about a half a cup of water, and then use that to gargle, and it will help soothe a sore throat. Number six is a vacuum freshener. Now, I don't know if this happens to you. It happens to me. I don't fill up, a vacuum bag fast enough, and they get kind of like just musty and not so good smelling. And I don't know about you, but when I turn a vacuum on, I want it to make my house smell nice, not make my house smell kind of funky. So if I'm using my big vacuum, which has a bag, anytime I put a new bag in, before I put it in, I put, I don't know, maybe a couple tablespoons, quarter of a cup. I just put some baking soda into the bag itself before I put the bag in my vacuum. You can also add a little bit of essential oil if you want to add something maybe citrusy, lemony, something that smells nice when you're vacuuming. You can do that as well. And if you have a bagless vacuum, you can also just sprinkle some of the baking soda on maybe a rug or a carpet and then come back through and vacuum it. So you get the baking soda into your vacuum to help make it smell fresher, but you also are deodorizing your rug at the same time. And number 7 is as deodorant. I use baking soda as a deodorant in 2 different ways. I have a powder puff. I know it's meant for like face powder, but I bought an empty one, and I add half baking soda, half cornstarch into it, mix it up, and then I use like just that puff to put the powder on my armpits after a shower. But then I also make up a paste in which I take baking soda. Sometimes I add cornstarch to it too, but often I just do straight baking soda, and then enough melted coconut oil just to make it paste-like. And then I have a container of that in my bathroom. I just put a little bit on my finger, rub it into my armpits after a shower. Sometimes I use both. I'll put the powder on and then the paste over top of it, or you could do it the other way around. It doesn't really matter. But the baking soda, and if you add the cornstarch, they help absorb some moisture while also, you got it, getting rid of odors. Number 8 is to treat bee stings. If you ever get stung by a bee, take a little bit of baking soda, add just a couple drops of water, enough to just make a paste, and then put it on your bee sting. It will remove the sting, so it helps reduce swelling, takes away some of the pain. Trust me, it works. And if you want to kick that bee sting remedy up a notch, instead of water, use witch hazel. If you have witch hazel, that will also reduce swelling and help reduce the sting. Number 9 is to remove blood stains. No, I'm not talking mess murderer blood stains, but you know what happens? Like, I don't know, you nick yourself shaving, or you get like a little scrape that you didn't notice, and next thing you know, you realize that, you know, your shirt or your pants or something has just like that little bit of blood on it. If you make a paste like you just made for the bee sting and put it on the fabric, let it sit, and then rinse that off and dab the fabric, it will help remove that blood stain and then launder as normal. Make sure though, for any stain, that before you put it in the dryer, make sure the stain is really removed fully, because that dryer is just going to set the stain and make it so much harder to get out later. And number 10 is to use baking soda as an antacid. If you're out of Tums, this is the next best thing. Take a little bit of the baking soda, like a quarter of a teaspoon to a half a teaspoon, dissolve it into a small glass of water, preferably not freezing cold water, maybe room temperature water, and then slowly drink that, and it will settle the stomach, calm down the acid indigestion, and you'll be feeling much better. Granted, it doesn't taste the best, but it does work. And one last bonus use, so number 11, is always keep baking soda in your kitchen somewhere handy, because if you ever have anything on your stove catch on fire, the best way to extinguish it is with baking soda, not with water. Baking soda smothers a grease fire, so keep it handy. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to click the little thumbs up icon, leave me a comment, make sure you're subscribed. Doing these things lets YouTube know that people are interested in content like mine. Thanks so much. Have a great day.